I just finished watching the last episode of The Last Dance. And this is fantastic. I was waiting every Monday, eating my nails until the new episode came out. And I would like to share with you 3 takeouts from The Last Dance that each and every one of us, I think, can learn and can enrich his or her life. Because the most impactful thing about this show is, I think, if you are a sport fan, if you are a basketball fan, you would love it. But even if you know nothing about basketball, this show is still amazing in a sense. And it was, I can't remember which episode, but it was stated that Michael Jordan wasn't just the greatest basketball player ever or the greatest athlete ever or whatever. He was arguably the person who did his job in the best way, not just in basketball, in sport, ever. And how he did it, and how all the parts came together is what turns this docu-series to be so fascinating. Before I get into the 3 takeouts, I would like to kind of address the main criticism about the show. So it was said that he was one of the producers. It was said that he has the last say. He wants to comment on other interviews. He wants full control, blah, 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 blah. And I say, I love it. I love the fact that he was the one, that the story is actually his perspective, his voice. I don't want someone, even if it's a great journalist, to kind of edit it and bring his own perspective. I want him to tell his story. I thought this is great. I thought this teaches me more. I want to hear his voice and him to be the editor, his autobiographical, if you want. I want him to be the editor. I want him to tell the story. And having said that, if he was avoiding the negative aspects about his career, you would say, the story is lacking. But is The Last Dance lacking? Criticizing whatever his career, the negative. Let's briefly touch on that. His gambling issues or whatever, it's there. He wasn't afraid to put it on. The second thing, the fact that people accuse him about the fact that his lack of being more active socially, politically, that he failed or didn't want to present and to promote his values off court, with the famous statement, Republicans buy sneakers too. You know what? He addressed that. He explained very well why he chose that, and respect. His choice was to actually influence everybody just through his game, focus on his game, and that was the way he thought he could bring the most out of his talent. The third whatever negative aspect is, all those stories about Michael Jordan. Yeah, he was the greatest, but he was bullied to his teammates. He was picking on them. He was hard on them. He made their life hell, blah, 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 and management and so on. That was well addressed in the show. Actually, in fact, one of the most emotional parts, but I think in the end of episode 8, when Michael Jordan himself answered the question why or how difficult it was for him to be hard on his teammates, how that motivated them, how he understands that this is his way, this is the way to get the best out of them. And when he's saying, you wasn't there, and someone who criticizing me doesn't know what it takes to take so many championships and to be in my place. It makes perfect sense. And I would add, are any of those teammates, are any of those players would like a nicer Michael Jordan in the locker room, bat, give away one of the championship? I doubt that. I doubt. So he addressed the negative stuff. He didn't avoid that. He didn't run away from that. So I would say I love the fact that he is in control, that he deciding, that he is actually looking at some of the interviews and comment on them or laugh or whatever, and that's great. Now, the three most valuable takeouts that I take from the show. Number one, the power of sharing, even for the greatest of all time. And this is something that basketball fans knows, but it came very, very strong. Michael Jordan was playing in the NBA for 6 years before he took his first championship. 6 hard years where he got, the MVP, where he was unbelievable. Arguably, he was at the peak of his physical condition. He was young, he was strong, he was unbelievable, he was scoring left, right, and center, and yet he never took a championship. Before 91, he had a coach that he had a great chemistry with, Doug Collins. He loved Doug Collins. Doug Collins was competitive. Doug Collins was like, his best kind of like coach he could imagine. And Doug Collins was like sweating on the sideline sometimes more than the players. They love each other. And yet, apparently he wasn't the right coach. Why? Because all the game, everything was on Michael Jordan. He gave him everything. Once Phil Jackson was nominated in 91 and implemented the triangle where he basically said, if we want to get the best out of Michael, we need to take the ball away from him. And that kind of mentality, that kind of paradox of like, he will be strong, he will impact the game more if we will have the ball less, and if that work like magic. And along the years, along the 6 championship, time and again, you can see how, he passed to Steve. He never shy away from taking those like big moments, shots at the buzzer, of course. But when he need to, he passed it to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr end the game and end the season when he has to. So Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time by also having the ability of sharing the ball, of accepting and actually letting the players around him, Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, be at their best, help them to be at their best. And the story of how he went and picked up Dennis Rodman from a hotel room in Vegas shows how much he cares and how much he have respect for Dennis Rodman. He actually said, and this is another great lesson from that Dennis Rodman is one of the smartest defensive players he have ever played with. Who would have think that someone would connect the word smart with Dennis Rodman in the same sentence? That's unbelievable. But that was one of the greatest, that he understand that he respect that, and he knows how to let him shine and how to have the full impact on the team. So that sharing and that what Phil Jackson brought to Chicago Bulls and make Michael Jordan even better and enable the Bulls and Michael Jordan to take 6 championships is actually taking a little bit of the pressure from him to other players and build an unstoppable machine. Unstoppable machine. Takeout number 2. It becomes so clear that Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time and was so because he has a constant hunger. He has a constant, like his competitive, like in his bones was so strong. Even you looking at the last episode in the last few minutes and you would expect someone to say, oh, I had such a great career. I'm so grateful for the years I had. I'm so blah. No, he was like so mad that the management didn't let them have the chance to win a 7th championship. That's how he thinks. Every card game, every little thing that he was playing, even that doesn't matter, 25 cents when you have like millions, he will still have that eager and that like killer instinct to win, to compete. This is not money, this is not about fame, this is not about power. This is like a real joy from playing and the real urge to win that he has. And this is way beyond basketball. And just seeing that and understanding where it's coming from and the power it has, that's invaluable. The third takeout, and something that me as a basketball fan never really understand until I saw this show. Fully understand. Because I used to see Michael Jordan, the supreme athlete, Air Jordan, the one that flies and never goes down, with unbelievable physical ability, with the, doing things that, that's why he's God. That's why he's the Black Jesus. That's why he's so unbelievably exceptional. But when you see The Last Dance, you realize that that wasn't his greatest asset. His greatest asset was actually his mental toughness, his ability to stay focused, his ability to understand what it takes to win a game, what it takes to win a series, what it takes to win a championship, and just be present and always like positive, confident, and having that toughness mentally. And nothing else, I think, explain that better than what's called the flu game. That is actually wasn't the flu, it was like a bad pizza, food poisoning. But in that game, game 5 in Utah, he was sick as hell. He was hardly walking. He was pale. He didn't eat the whole day. He was throwing up. Other, even greatest superstars wouldn't show up, or if they play, they would never play, a great game. And Michael Jordan came and gave a hell of a game at the end of the day. Somehow he was able to find the switch and mentally to kind of block everything, even his physical condition, even though everybody's looking at him, even though all the pressure is on him, even though the best defender is on him, and even though he's sick as hell, he found the mental power to overcome all that, to give a great game and to win game 5. And this is why he's the greatest, and this is why he's number 1, and this is why I admire his achievements and his spirit, and this is why it was such a joy to watch this show. The Last Dance, a masterpiece. Adios. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this beauty. Ooh.